The clock is ticking, time is slipping by, global leaders have set ambitious climate goals. Promises are being made, pledges are being taken, but of what use have they been? Greenhouse gas emissions are still on the rise, crippling heat waves have become the norm. Global temperatures in 2023 are set to be among the hottest on record. And now the Earth's sixth mass extinction has officially begun. Where are we headed? Let's talk about the COP27 summit. Global leaders met back in November in Egypt to discuss climate goals. And on the top of the agenda was limiting global warming. Leaders worldwide have set a goal to reduce carbon emissions and limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius till 2030. Well, there's no denying that this goal is well intended, but here comes the reality check. The UK Met Department says the global average temperatures will be about 1.2 degrees Celsius higher than before, even before climate change began as an issue. So if that is correct, it would be the 10th such year in a row that's correct for the last decade. Global temperatures have shown a rise of at least 1 degree Celsius compared to pre-industrial times. Studies say, seeing the current pace of emissions, we are now headed towards a global temperature rise of above 2 degrees Celsius. And this could be towards the end of the century. This can even reach 3 degrees Celsius. Why am I telling you all this? Because global leaders are striving to limit the rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius by 2030. But we will hit the 1.3 mark next year itself. So decide for yourself tonight. Is this climate goal really feasible? Do we really have the time and the technology to achieve it? And if not, what is the point of these conferences? And what is the point of setting unachievable goals? Why not aim for something more realistic, something more attainable, which would work not only in a room full of diplomats, but on the ground level as well? The teenage activist Greta Thunberg has refused to attend such summits. She dismissed the forum as greenwashing. Was she right to do so? Do leaders see these conferences as just another opportunity to toot their own trumpet? 12 years ago, rich nations made a significant pledge at the UN Climate Summit in Copenhagen. They promised $100 billion annually to lesser wealthy nations by 2020. The goal of this fund was to help them adapt to climate change and mitigate further rises in temperature. But the promise was broken. Developed countries say they are on track to fulfill the pledge by 2023, next year. But analysis of the available data suggests that their numbers may be inflated. In fact, a report by India's Ministry of Finance was one of the first to scrutinize these claims. It says that the developed countries, richer countries, claim to have provided nearly $62 billion in 2014. But here's the reality, only $2.2 billion were actually disbursed. This came after deducting inflated numbers and funds which were not provided as grants. Reports show that a majority of public climate finance provided by developed countries are actually loans. Grants do not account for even half of those funds. In 2020, developed countries provided more than $68 billion in public finance. As much as $48.6 billion were actually in the form of loans, not grants. Meanwhile, only $17.6 billion were given as grants. So I ask, why such misleading promises? Just to give a false sense of climate action? What is it, if not greenwashing? Meanwhile, another conference just ended in Montreal. As the leaders discuss species extinction at the UN Biodiversity Summit, a new study has made shocking revelations. It predicts that more than 17% of species will be extinct by the end of this century. And the biggest cause of this mass extinction would be climate change. Now my question is, if the planet is facing such serious repercussions, what are global leaders waiting for? Why are they wasting their time on making promises they don't intend to keep and setting goals that are not realistic? This is the time to act. The UN chief, Antonio Guterres, rightly said, "We are on a highway to climate hell and our foot is still on the accelerator." WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.